Welcome to the bold analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, why is Deputy President William Samoei Ruto undermining the stature of one Musalia Mudavadi? On 23rd January, there was the earthquake merger when ANC merged with the UDA party to be the founder members of the Kenya Kwanza coalition. While coalition building, I want to understand, is a process and is a very tedious with a lot of frictions, just like what is being witnessed in Azimio la Umoja. However, there are some limits that are beyond expectation, because as parties work together, there is something that remained very elusive in these coalitions on the strength of individual parties, or rather, the place of individual parties in the larger coalition. Musalia Mudavadi is not a very happy man, and he has publicly came out to talk about the issue. Musalia Mudavadi is complaining that UDA party has decided to field a candidate in Sabate constituency. That is the home constituency of Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, a candidate in the name of Clement Siloya. Now, let's just be honest with ourselves here. Even if UDA was to undermine, or rather to field candidates in those other areas, even if there was no party zoning, but fielding a candidate in the home ground of Musalia Mudavadi is stretching it too far. I don't know what is your opinion on that. Because Mudavadi, while campaigning in Vihiga last night, came out and complained publicly about this issue, and he was speaking in bit of dialect of the local dialect. But what is coming out, he is saying that because they are supporting deputy president for presidency at the top, but they should be allowed to field candidates at the lower level, and it should be an exclusive NC zone, just the same way that they have also decided to leave. And of course, this is something that is very true, because very few candidates are vying through ANC in Rift Valley, especially the counties of Bomet, Kericho, Nandi, Uasin Gishu. Very few are there, and even parts of central Kenya. NC aspirants are countable. They don't have such a big number, despite the fact that the Secretary General of the party comes from there. Can you listen to Musalia Mudavadi's complaining?
Nyamutebe ndi dokupe mu coalition hala nende Ruto. Sukwa kuhamba na kurupoke do serikali guri. Nabuza nuhenza anji bandu basugoi. Baza kuchokera mjumbe wa ANC. Kumola nezo gegirigere. Barachagura wa ANC na barachagura wa UDA. Chigira ingawa kuhamba ni mukiguru yaha. Hakurombera serikali. Nabuza mjumbe wa Ruto wiyengo azakuba wa UDA. MCA wewe wiyengo azakuba wa UDA. Kuchigira kina munyi munzime mjumbe wange wa ANC hana.
And I know one, just because of this, one Mudavadi is maybe regretting why did he has to form the merger with William Ruto from the Kenya Kwanza. But it's too late. Someone was saying that it's time for Mudavadi to rethink that decision. However, I really want to bring to attention that this UDA and ANC agitators in Western Kenya is not new. And I think I analyzed here some time back. Let me take you to Kakamega and see how things are playing out. Kenya Kwanza has decided, despite the fact that the governor candidate is Malala, the key coordinators of presidential campaigns in Western is Benjamin Washiali, Boniface Halwale, and the former Budalangi MP Babu Namwamba. Those are the three focal people. Now Budalangi is Namwamba is taking care of Busia. Then Washiali and Halwale are in charge of Kakamega. Now in Kakamega, Washali and Khalwale were insisting that Cleophas Malala should campaign for UDA candidates. And in fact, to some extent, it was a direction from Veronica Maina, who is the Secretary General of UDA, that if Malala wanted to get the votes of all, then he's supposed to campaign for UDA candidates. But the other team, instead of campaigning for ANC, but remember, in Kakamega, he is the chairman of the county chairman of ANC, that is Cleophas Malala. But the party was being stifled in Kakamega. So it got so ugly that Washeli was even campaigning for another candidate who is not even in ANC and not even in UDA. Now, in Mumias East, in one of the events, I think it was like a burial ceremony, a burial event, Malala spoke out and now blasted the UDA party and the UDA aspirants for stifling his voices if he wants to campaign for ANC. And by that time, he was campaigning for David Wamatsi, who is the ANC candidate for Mumias East constituency. Now, that came out publicly, and I think we even did it in this channel. And now this is the clip.
Huko juu tumeheshimu UDA, tumewapatia viti kubwa kubwa. Mheshimiwa William Ruto, kwa bedroom yetu hapa chini, viti zetu moto moto. Sasa usiingilie. Tunataka ANC pia ikuwe na wabunge, ndio tuheshimiane, si ndio? Sababu baada ya kura tutahesabiana. Watasema Mudavadi, songa huku na watu yako. Wewe Ruto, songa hivi na watu yako. Alafu waanze kutuambia ati hamkufikisha 70%. Mumetuambia tufikishe 70% of votes so that we can get the 30%. Pia hiyo 70% mpaka ikuwe na wabunge wetu ndani.
If you listen to that, that is Cleophas Malala crying out that his voice was being stifled. I analyzed in this channel that the 2022 August elections, I think in my previous video, is not what William Ruto is focusing on. I don't know how many times I'm going to repeat that. And this election is just a preparatory stage for him. He's just starting over the race. And because he's starting over the race, he's laying a very good ground for him to mount a successful presidential bid. Now, if you listen to Alice Wahome is one of the founder members of UDA party. And when Rigathi Gachagua was being blamed to be campaigning for UDA candidates in central Kenya, I want to relate this with Western. Alice Wahome came out and I think she was responding to Mwangi Kiunjuri when Mwangi Kiunjuri was complaining that they're being cannibalized, or they're being undermined in the party. She was saying that despite the fact that they have a common goal of campaigning for deputy president as the 5th president of the country, but the small parties, or rather the other parties, should not expect any favorism. Now, according to her, that was a direct message. And I think, if I am not wrong, that is the official position of UDA party. That the initial goal of making one big party known as UDA, that goal was not squashed off by the Kenya Kwanza coalition. That goal is still intact. And how I wish that Musalia Mudavadi and the team will then pay attention to what Alice Wahome is saying.
For sure, those who are UDA will speak to UDA supporters. Those who are other parties will also speak to their supporters. And they must not feel like we are not considering them. This is a campaign and everybody must campaign for their party. And we are one team. However, when it comes to individual parties, then they must sell their party and their candidates, and we do the same with our candidates. I just wanted to say that the people within Kenya Kwanza must not feel like they are being neglected.
If you listen to Alice Wahome, you will realize that that is the stand of the UDA party. Now, the small parties within that coalition in Kenya Kwanza must then find ways of navigating themselves. Because look at Kilifi. The equation of PA and UDA over the candidature of Aisha Jumwa was not solved. And they're all going to field candidates. The same way in some counties like Kiambu, it was not settled. So what is happening is UDA is not so much, but is not so much into this election. But there is something I need to clarify, and that is what I want us to look at in this analysis. Why Deputy President has a longer goal of undermining Musalia Mudavadi. When do you think Mudavadi is being undermined? And that is the longer script. I analyzed in my previous video that William Ruto stands a better chance of succeeding, of a successful presidential bid after Raila, because in this election he has successfully managed to clip Musalia Mudavadi to a chief campaigner. And on the other side, fate has also decided that Kalonzo Musyoka is not going to be on ballot. After Raila Odinga, the most prominent leader that is remaining in the fold is William Samoei Ruto. Now, Ruto wants to limit the relevance of Musalia Mudavadi to stifle any other chance or other possibility of forming post-election agreement with the government of the day. What he would actually look here, and that is why I say he's a very smart politician when it comes to playing politics zambele. If Mudavadi will win more positions, or more members of parliament in Western Kenya, and maybe Senate in those positions, he will have powers. He will have numbers. Now, if Azimio la Umoja forms government and they realize that they don't, or rather the Kenya Kwanza outshines them in the legislative strength, then the next activity they will do is to reach out to those other parties in Kenya Kwanza. They will go for ANC to ask the members of parliament from Western Kenya to cross over to work with them. They will try to approach Ford Kenya and all that. So for William Ruto to make sure that in case of any post-election agreement with Raila Odinga, if Kenya Kwanza doesn't form the government, that will only be possible with the UDA party. Now, that is the bit of the interesting part, and that is and it informs why UDA are stretching to the limit of ever making sure that Musalia Mudavadi, his home member of parliament, comes from does not even win. Don't take it lightly that they normally hit President Uhuru Kenyatta by telling him that his senator is in Kenya Kwanza, his member of parliament in Kenya Kwanza, his MCA is in Kenya Kwanza. The same script is being written against Musalia Mudavadi. And so at one point, when Musalia Mudavadi will think of crossing over now, changing tactic maybe to work with some other team, they will use that against him. And the smart Ruto is also eyeing at a possibility of making sure that ANC party is stifled, because what he will not want is Musalia Mudavadi is, I mentioned, is one of the leaders that bear presidential ambitions. By the way, before he joined Kenya Kwanza, he was a presidential candidate. So, and he can only harbor those presidential ambitions through the ANC party. Now, if ANC party is not going to win positions, is not going to get strength in the National Assembly or even in these other elective seats, more significantly, they are also going to lose touch with the grassroots politics, the grassroots structures. And with that, if ANC is destroyed, it will limit the chances of Musalia Mudavadi even making a presidential bid or trying to vie for presidency. And most importantly, what Ruto would want is to make sure that Mudavadi sticks along with him. If they don't win the election, then Mudavadi sticks with him, he will still have a liberty of going to pick another running mate, someone, tell Mudavadi that you zako na zangu tuko nazo. Just the same way Raila is having a very good arrangement with Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Now, would you also look at it this way, that when Mudavadi gets legislative strength or gets strength in Western Kenya, he's going to create a center of power, and that center of power is going to give him power. Now, what Ruto would want is, or rather what he would eye, is eyeing these young upcoming politicians to outsmart the regional kingpin. Just like what happened in Central Kenya. The Central Kenya kingpin is His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta. But Ruto went in the back door and then groomed Ndindi Nyoro, Rigathi Gachagua, Kimani Ichung'wah, Alice Wahome is not that list, groomed these other Purity Ngirishi, these other young politicians, so that with the young politicians, they outsmart the old, rather the kingpins. Then advantage of them, someone like Rigathi Gachagua and Ndindi Nyoro, when do you think they will bear presidential ambitions? Now, this is a team that you can walk, you can use them to go through an election cycle. I mentioned that for him to win an election, he has to go through an election cycle. And for you to complete maybe a 15 years election cycle, you need to take politicians that 15 years from now, they will not be asking you they want to vie for presidency. So, that is why in Musalia Mudavadi's place, Ruto will be comfortable if he brings the young politicians who do not have presidential ambitions, the ones like Boni Khalwale, Cleophas Malala. Khalwale and Balala are being positioned strategically to outsmart Musalia Mudavadi. Before Musalia Mudavadi knows, he will be eyeing for presidential ticket in ANC with Boni Khalwale, with Malala, and the likes of Ababu Namwamba. That is what is critically happening. But lastly, before he knows, this is going to reduce his popularity, and any possibility of becoming a kingpin is ruled out. You know, he doesn't want to see anything like a kingpin. What the smart Ruto would want is for him to be the kingpin of Western Kenya, just the same way he had another unsuccessful attempt in Central Kenya. In Central Kenya, up to December last year, he was the de facto kingpin. So in Western, if he stifles Mudavadi, but still stick with Mudavadi, would want Mudavadi to be him, so that becomes the semi-god of the Western Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my bold. And are you in Nairobi and its environs? You have problems with power blackouts, you're putting up a structure home or somewhere, then reach out to Instalet Company. They have amazing offers. Talk to Gidiomi. His number is 0722 818 883. 0722 818 883. And please make it clear that it's from Kevin Oduor.